February 3rd, 1637. Haarlem, Netherlands. A man walks into a tavern holding a piece of paper. On it, a promise. A contract for a single tulip bulb he's never seen. He's ready to sell it for 10 times what he paid last month. No one bids. He lowers the price. Still nothing. Within an hour, his life savings, which existed only as numbers in a ledger, vanish into smoke. This wasn't supposed to happen. Everyone said tulips only go up. They were wrong. Let me take you back. Not to learn about flowers, but to understand the virus that infects every market, in every generation, including the one you're living through right now. The year is 1593. A Flemish botanist brings something exotic to the Netherlands. Tulips from the Ottoman Empire. They're alien, vibrant, unlike anything Europe has seen. By 1630, the Dutch Republic is the richest nation on earth. Amsterdam is Wall Street before Wall Street existed. And these flowers? They become the ultimate status symbol. Some tulips develop these stunning, unpredictable patterns, flames of color streaking across the petals. Nobody knows why. These broken tulips are rare, impossibly beautiful, and because you can't predict which bulbs will break, scarcity becomes lottery. The Dutch elite go insane for them. A single Semper Augustus bulb becomes more coveted than a Rembrandt painting. But then something critical happens. The trade moves out of the gardens and into the taverns. It's no longer collectors buying flowers. It's speculators trading contracts, futures, promises of tulips that won't even bloom for 6 months. Suddenly, the chimney sweep, the weaver, the fishmonger, people who've never owned a luxury item in their lives, are trading tulip contracts like stocks. A Viceroy bulb that cost 50 guilders in 1634 sells for 2,500 guilders in 1637. To put that in perspective, that's enough to buy a canal house in Amsterdam, a literal mansion, for a flower bulb. But here's the thing nobody admitted. No one was buying tulips anymore. They were buying the idea that someone else would pay more tomorrow. Sound familiar? This is the moment. This is where every bubble is born. Not in fraud, not in lies, but in a collective agreement to ignore reality. When your neighbor makes a year's salary in a single trade, you don't think, this is unsustainable. You think, I'm being left behind. The fear of missing out, FOMO, becomes more powerful than the fear of losing everything. And that's when logic
January
died. 1637. Peak mania. Professional growers are worried. They whisper to each other, this can't last. But they're drowned out by the roar of the crowd. Every auction sets a new record. Widows are putting their inheritance into tulip contracts. Farmers are mortgaging their land. The entire economy is now a single, fragile tower built on debt and delusion. Then, in early February, in a tavern in Haarlem, an auctioneer opens bidding on a lot of premium bulbs. Silence. He lowers the price. Still nothing. That's all it took. One failed auction. Because in a market built entirely on confidence, the moment confidence cracks, there's nothing underneath. Within days, panic spreads across the Republic. Sellers flood the market. But there are no buyers. Because everyone suddenly realizes these are just flower bulbs. The contracts, these pieces of paper that were worth mansions last week, are now worthless. Not worth less. Worthless. Fortunes evaporate overnight. A merchant who was wealthy enough to retire finds himself bankrupt before breakfast. Families lose their homes. Tavern brawls break out between creditors and debtors. The government, terrified of total economic collapse, steps in. They try to enforce contracts at 10% of peak value. It doesn't matter. Trust is gone. Tulip Mania becomes the cautionary tale, the original bubble, the first recorded proof that markets can be driven not by value, but by madness. In 1841, a Scottish journalist named Charles Mackay writes about it in Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. His conclusion? Men, it has been well said, think in herds. It will be seen that they go mad in herds, while they only recover their senses slowly, one by one. But here's the devastating truth. Knowing this doesn't stop it from happening again. The South Sea bubble, the Mississippi scheme, the 1929 crash, the dot-com bubble, the 2008 housing crisis, different assets, same psychology, same ending. So let's talk about now. Because if you're watching this in 2025, you've lived through, or are currently living through, multiple bubbles. Maybe you bought crypto at the peak. Maybe you watched friends get rich on NFTs and wondered if you were the idiot for staying out. Maybe you're looking at AI stocks right now and thinking, this time is different. Let me be clear. I'm not here to tell you crypto is a scam or that blockchain technology is worthless. The question is not, does this technology have potential? The question is the current price driven by utility or by the madness of crowds? When an asset's price increases 1,000% in a year, but its real-world utility increases by maybe 10%, you're not in a market. You're in a mania. Here's how you know you're in a bubble. 1. Your taxi driver is giving you investment advice. 2. People are taking out loans to buy the asset. 3. The primary argument for buying is, you don't want to be left behind. 4. Anyone questioning the price is called a dinosaur, or just doesn't get it. 5. The phrase, this time is different, is repeated like a mantra. Every single one of these was true in 1637. Every single one was true in 2000. Every single one was true in 2008. And every single one has been true in crypto markets. Here's what people forget. Price is not value. A tulip bulb's value was always modest. It grows into a pretty flower that lives for a week. But its price in 1637 was insane, because price in a mania reflects not what something is worth, but what someone else might pay. The same is true today. A cryptocurrency's value is determined by whether it solves real problems, whether it's actually used, whether it improves human life. Its price? That's determined by speculation, hype, and fear. The crowd doesn't analyze utility. The crowd looks at the price chart, sees a vertical line, and thinks, I need to be part of this. And that's when they lose everything. So what's the actual lesson from 1637? It's not never invest. It's not all new assets are scams. It's not even avoid risk. The lesson is this. The only way to survive a bubble is to recognize it before it pops. And the only way to do that is to ask the question everyone else is ignoring. What is the fundamental value of this asset if the hype disappeared tomorrow? If the answer is a lot less than the current price, you're in a bubble. If the answer is, I don't know, but everyone else is buying, you're in a mania. If the answer is, it doesn't matter because it'll keep going up, you're about to lose money. Every financial disaster is the same story. Wealth transfers from those who follow the crowd to those who understand history. The Dutch merchants who went bankrupt in 1637, they didn't lose money because tulips were bad. They lost money because they confused price with value and panic with strategy. The ones who survived? They were the ones who sold in 1636, walked away, and ignored the mockery from those still buying. So here's my challenge to you. The next time you hear about an asset that's going to the moon, don't ask, How do I get in? Ask, what is this actually worth? The price of wisdom is often paid in missed opportunities, but the price of madness is always paid in lost fortunes. So what's the actual lesson? Tulip Mania wasn't a lesson about flowers, it was a lesson about us. And until we learn it, history will keep repeating. If this changed how you see markets, hit subscribe. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because the ghost of 1637 is still here, and it's coming for anyone who forgets.